you make people be good. Many people say you can't make people good, so why even try? We tried it with Prohibition. So here are the two objections that go with it. What about Prohibition and you can't make people be good? Let's look at Prohibition first. We have a whole chapter, I think, in our book on Prohibition in legislating morality. I'm just going to give you a few of the highlights here. Let me just point out that Prohibition was actually more successful than most people think in its intentions. It actually reduced drunkenness and drinking to a great extent in our country. In fact, per capita consumption of alcohol did not rise to pre-Prohibition levels until 1975 because the law had such a big impact on people. Actually, it was not illegal to drink. Did you know that in Prohibition? It was only illegal to manufacture. That's what the amendment was about. You couldn't manufacture the stuff. Of course, if you couldn't manufacture it, you couldn't drink it. It wasn't there, but the main point was it was against the manufacture of it. And organized crime was well established in the cities long before Prohibition. But let's just make the argument that Prohibition was not a good idea. Let's just, for sake of argument. I know we could argue that. Somebody say, well, it's a good idea. Others say, no, it's not. Let's just assume for the sake of argument it went too far. Okay? Here's the point. Over-legislating morality doesn't prove morality can't be legislated. In fact, we still legislate morality with regard to alcohol. How so? How do we legislate with regard to alcohol? You got to be a certain age. There's in some states like this state, there are state stores that regulate it. You can't go buy 200 proof 100% grain alcohol. And you can't do certain things when you're engaged in drinking alcohol or feeling the effects of alcohol. We are still legislating morality on alcohol. We still are. The only question is, how much are we going to legislate on it? Advertising is even restricted with alcohol. It was for many years. They couldn't advertise at all on TV unless it was just beer, because then there would be no football games if they couldn't advertise beer. There'd be no football games. But now they're starting to re-advertise, if you notice, more hard liquor. But for many years they couldn't do that. So we still legislate morality on it. Secondly, other than intrinsic evil such as murder and rape, which demand zero tolerance, most laws strike a socially acceptable balance between individual liberty and public safety. And that's why we have legislators, to debate this. What is the proper balance between individual liberty and public safety? No matter where you come down, you're legislating some moral perspective. In fact, the folks who were against Prohibition have a moral perspective. They say it is immoral for the government to restrict our rights to manufacture and then consume these beverages. That's a moral position as well. It doesn't matter what side of the issue you're on, you're arguing from a moral position. So the only question is your position right? Now we can debate all day. What is the proper level of government intervention in the alcohol industry? I don't think anyone in here would say no government intervention. We need some government intervention, right? Of course. So we need some. The only question is how much. The main point here is that Prohibition did not destroy the ability for anyone to legislate morality. Over-legislation of morality does not mean that you can't have optimum legislation of morality. And we're still legislating morality on the issue right now. So that doesn't hold any water.